And I will say that in spite of the internet's best efforts, you do not know what's coming in Deadpool and Wolverine. Thank you, internet. Also, I think it's great to keep me humble by hanging out with the best friend who's so much better looking than me. Hey there, I'm Shawn Levy, and Esquire has asked me to explain some things. So let's dive in. Aliens invade Earth. Who do you pick to survive, Deadpool or Wolverine? Man, Deadpool knows his way around those katanas, plus he's got guns, plus he's got a baby knife in his ankle sheath, and he has chest daggers, so a lot of weaponry and incredible kind of acrobatic ability. But Wolvie, though his weaponry is simpler, claws, he's got that rage. He has that berserker rage that is an X factor, pun intended. So I gotta go with Wolvie against the aliens. There are rumored cameos in Deadpool and Wolverine. As a fan, what was your favorite cameo in a Marvel film thus far? Wow, certainly like the rest of the world, I loved seeing Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield in No Way Home. But I think, I loved Matt Damon in Ragnarok when he first appeared. I love that. I love me some Matt Damon. Ever since Good Will Hunting, that guy's just the shit. But I just found that to be so unexpected. Shawn Levy tops the list to direct Marvel's next Avengers movie. Here's what I'm gonna say, and by the time people watch this, they'll probably know a little bit more. The truth is that Marvel and I, we really hit it off. And it's the kind of big-hearted, anthemic filmmaking that I love doing. And I love playing in this ultimate sandbox, so I suspect Marvel and I aren't done with each other. What's the secret sauce to my friendship and partnership with Ryan Reynolds? Is it a Canada thing? It is partly a Canada thing. I'm from Montreal, Ryan's from Vancouver, and I do know that years ago I was making a movie called Real Steel with Hugh Jackman, and he did say to me, if you ever meet and work with Ryan Reynolds, you guys are never gonna stop. And it's almost like in addition to being this incredible movie star, Hugh Jackman is a prophet, because years later, 2018, I met Ryan, we made a movie called Free Guy, and instantly found this collaborative brotherhood. And I do think the Canada thing is part of it because you just are kind of bred to be nice. So even though we met having had a fair bit of success in our separate lives, no one's head's getting that big because we're Canadian. We're gonna be nice. You often praise Hugh Jackman's work ethic. Explain what makes him so unique in this business. I saw Hugh's work ethic on Real Steel. I've seen it over the years with the way he trains when he has to get in shape. But on Deadpool and Wolverine, I saw next level, saw a new side to Hugh. We would do these action scenes, these extensive, elaborate fight scenes. And Hugh did pretty much all his own action, which is incredible for any actor, but especially an actor who's 55 years old. And we would do a take that everyone's like, oh, that was awesome. And I'd be like, awesome, moving on. And Hugh would come over to me and he goes, can I just see playback? And he would watch it, and 8 out of 10 times he'd go, I can do better. Let's go again. Let's go again. I got better. Let's go. And he was always pushing for better. And he always knew when he had more in the tank, and the movie everyone's gonna see is the result of that relentless pursuit of the best possible by Hugh. Describe your, Ryan's, and Hugh's personal style in one word. I would say with Ryan, it's bold, colorful, retro. Hugh is elegant, middle-aged, sexy. And mine is, well, first of all, I'm working with a body that Ryan enjoys calling Woody from Toy Story. And secondly, here's your shoulders, here's mine. So I'm going for more of like, just give up and go with boyishness. That would be my description. Who's the biggest football expert in this squad? The infamous Jets game. Was it Chiefs-Jets? Yes. And I attended with a few friends, some of whom are recognizable. Here's the truth. Football is hands down my favorite sport. And I think in spite of his recently surging love of soccer, or football, as it's called outside the US, football is a big kind of, we're fans. Hugh, Ryan, and I, big fans. Though maybe now, if you're showing this picture, maybe now it's Taylor Swift. She might beat us all as a football fan. What was it about McFadden in Succession that made you think, hey, this guy belongs in Deadpool and Wolverine? I think like the rest of planet Earth, I watched Tom on Succession, and I watched the performance that McFadden did every episode, and you just are kind of laying back and going, okay, this guy is singular. You never know what he's going to do next. And for Mr. Paradox, who's one of the big supporting characters in our movie, I wanted an actor who could be surprising. And McFadden is that. We'll finally see the 5th and final season of Stranger Things in 2025. As an executive producer and director of this legendary series, what do you think the magic is? Great question, Esquire. People talk a lot about the 80s nostalgia play. They talk a lot about the mythology and the upside down, and all of that is huge and now iconic. But I think the actual magic is these characters and the warmth that we treat these characters with. It's about outcasts and outsiders who find a sense of belonging with each other and through that connection become heroes. And I think there's a wish fulfillment to that, a relatability to that, and I think that's the magic, and that's very much the magic of season 5 as well. Explain why you always direct episodes 3 and 4 of Stranger Things. Will you do the same in season 5? In season 1, I literally was not going to direct. It was going to be the Duffers for the whole season. But by episode 2, it became clear that the Duffers, there was just no way they were going to finish writing the season. So we talked, the 3 of us, and I basically said, you know what, you got to go into the writing hole. I'll direct the 3rd and 4th episode. And ever since then, we've been really superstitious. And I became like the luckiest director in the world because episode 3 and 4 tends to be where we're done with exposition and things are just going batshit crazy. So I'm lucky, but this year I'm doing this little project called Deadpool and Wolverine, so I couldn't do episodes 3 and 4, and I'm coming in for a later slot. How does it feel to take on an epic piece of movie history with Star Wars? I remember seeing the first Star Wars in '77. I really remember seeing Return of the Jedi a lot. I went with my brother repeatedly. And I was just all in by that point. And I loved all of it, even the Ewoks. People loved to crap on the Ewoks. They were adorable with their little dancing and their little made up language. So I'm a fan. And frankly, I do this job because I have enthusiasm for it. And Star Wars was some of the earliest imprinting of that enthusiasm for movies. What do you watch for when you want a laugh or to lift my spirits? What do I watch? Definitely Seinfeld reruns. That's a go-to. Weirdly, I feel like Three's Company was an early influence. It's so not a snobby answer. I know it's supposed to be like Monty Python. But no, you give me some Jack Tripper. That was early, and it was so silly, and it was physical humor. And to this day, it's something Ryan and I talk about a lot, and it's frankly one of the geniuses of Deadpool. Watch for it. Yeah, the action. Yeah, the verbal wit of Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool, but that's a character in a performance with no face. Think about that. Think about how many actors, since like Steve Martin or Jim Carrey, have the physical comedy to pull that off. And that's something I love. You started your career as an actor. Failed actor, thank you very much. How do you think that helped you as a producer and director? The truth is that I'm so happy I didn't quite make it as an actor because then I wouldn't have found my actual calling. But I think about that background every day because I know what it feels like to put yourself out there on stage or on camera and to kind of have the freedom to lose yourself and frankly the guts to just put it out there. And so that's why it works with me and my cast. I'm headed to a deserted island with a very old DVD player and can only keep 3 of my movies. Which ones do you keep and why? Okay, first of all, though I know you don't need to see this slide, I'm like, wait, no wonder I'm exhausted. No wonder my face looks ravaged by time and labor. I'm gonna say Real Steel, which is so close to my heart. It was the first non-comedy I directed, and it was the first time that I realized 2 things. One, I'm gonna have so much fun doing unexpected and different tones. That was the movie that unlocked that for me. Second choice, Night at the Museum. That was the one, if Real Steel unlocked the eclecticism of my career, Night at the Museum changed my career. I was the comedy guy with Cheaper by the Dozen and Pink Panther and Big Fat Liar and Night at the Museum was the first time I was asked to build a world, was asked to use visual effects to do a more epic scale of storytelling, and that ended up changing the course of my career. And then I guess if there's a third one, I'm gonna say Deadpool and Wolverine, because it's the continuation of this brotherhood with Ryan. It was my reunion with my other brother, Hugh Jackman, and it was my entree into the superhero genre and the MCU, which allowed me to take all this experience I have making big movies and employ that knowledge in this anthemic universe that has such love around the world and has such a footprint in our culture. And that's a privilege, because you work so hard on these movies, you never know if people are gonna show up. To work on a movie like Deadpool and Wolverine and to have a pretty good amount of confidence that, okay, people are coming, people are waiting. It's a lot of pressure, but it's also the biggest opportunity of my life. Wow, okay, I will never say no to a question about BFL. That's Big Fat Liar, Biffle, as it's come to be known by fans. Big Fat Liar, my first studio movie. I got to cast my buddy from college, Paul Giamatti, and this is before visual effects, or frankly, before I had the budget to even have a visual effect. So we had to literally spray paint Paul Giamatti blue every day. He wore tighty whities, like a Speedo, and would just spread eagle for that bitch. And we would just hose him down with blue paint makeup. And he was such a trooper. But as a result, Marty Wolf, forever. What was your approach to directing Steve Martin, one of the funniest actors in Hollywood, in Cheaper by the Dozen and Pink Panther? Well, for one thing, those were early movies for me. And so I got, early on in my career, I got to learn from the maestro. One thing I learned is, I remember on Pink Panther, there was a pitch for a scene. And Steve Martin said to me, this is something that stuck with me, he goes, that's a funny idea for a scene, but not for a me scene. You need to set up the comedic premise for my tone, for my style of comedy, otherwise I can't be as funny as I can be. And that was the first time where it kind of incepted this idea of, there's what's funny on the page, but if you want to make a hit comedy, you need this alignment between the type of comedy and the type of comedic star. And you gotta find that Venn diagram overlap and that sweet spot, whether it's Ben Stiller or Robin Williams or Ryan Reynolds or Steve Martin, that's what you're looking for, that bullseye. And I learned that from Steve. Night at the Museum literally changed how we think about museums when the lights are off. What was your favorite moment in the film? That's easy. And by the way, I need this picture because I have not seen that in years, and I'm immediately texting it to Rami Malek and Ben Stiller. Favorite moment, we're shooting the last of the museum movies, and we're filming at the British Museum, and it's 3 a.m. And I'm there with Ben Stiller and Robin Williams playing Teddy Roosevelt. And we're talking before a shot, and we're standing there next to the Rosetta Stone in one of the great museums of the world, closed for us. And Robin looks around and he says to me, hey boss, look what we get to do. Look what we get to do. And I didn't know that would end up being Robin's last movie. But I knew in that moment that I have goosebumps right now, that Robin, after so many legendary years, still had an appreciation for what we get to do. That's how I feel every day. Thank you for an incredibly amusing and frankly shockingly poignant trip down memory lane.